I think we can all say that the concept of love is a very complex and perplexing one. It gets even more complex as you try to understand what feelings of love actually mean. There's a lot of different ways to define love and care, concern, and compassion, but getting the right terminology means you must experience the feeling of healthy love. And if you grow up in a household where there's trauma, there's a narcissistic parent, there's a psychopathic parent, there's a parent who doesn't love and seem to care about you, then as an adult, you're probably going to be, confused about what the concept of love actually means. You're probably going to also feel these feelings of unending loneliness. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about what this actually means. My name is Tiara, and I'm an internationally and board certified trauma therapist. I'm licensed in mental health. I specialize in treating children, teens, and families, as well as adults who are living with trauma right in my private practice. I think we can jump in. There's a variety of concepts that's associated with the feeling of feeling unloved. I want to throw out here two concepts that you most likely haven't heard of in the field of psychology, or outside of the field of psychology, I probably should say, and that is state loneliness and trait loneliness. Now, state loneliness is a form of mind. It's a state of mind of unrelenting feelings of loneliness. I'm in this state of mind of feeling detached from other people, and all I really need is to feel connected, to feel loved, and to feel wanted. In order for me to move ahead, in order for me to feel loved, in order for me to feel that I own some kind of importance in this world. Usually state loneliness can be accomplished by getting you connected to other people, getting you connected within your family, and really giving you that experience to prove and to validate that you are indeed loved. Other concept is trait loneliness. And that's a momentary feeling of daily loneliness. It's like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow, I'm going to shower, eat my breakfast alone, go to work, drive to work alone, deal with a little bit of colleagues, maybe not too much. I probably won't even be spoken to throughout my day. I'm going to go home. I'm going to drive home alone. I'm going to go home, fix myself something to eat, sit on my couch alone, and go to bed alone. There's also a such thing known as double jeopardy. And this is utilized in some areas of research that focuses on the concept of loneliness. And here's what it means. There's double jeopardy when it comes to loneliness, when you feel that you want to be around people because you don't want to be lonely, and yet you don't really want to be around people because you enjoy being alone. It's saying, I don't want to be lonely even though I enjoy sometimes, if not all of my time, being alone. Because now you're in a box. You've boxed yourself in. You're saying, I don't want to be lonely, but I enjoy my alone time. And people can pick up on that, right? Family members can pick up on that. Romantic partners can pick up on that. Friends, coworkers. I like being by myself and I enjoy that time. And yet at the same time, I desire and need connection. In situations where there is complex PTSD, where there is unresolved trauma, you may experience something known as separation distress. And really what that says is this. The concept says this, that I anticipate being separated from somebody else. I anticipate having to do something alone, and therefore I'm going to experience this extreme anxiety response. It's kind of like the concept of anticipatory anxiety. Here it is right here on the screen, that I anticipate that I'm going to be anxious about this thing that's coming up. And so therefore my whole life and everything is just thrown off right now. So separation distress tends to happen in infants. There's a lot of research that highlights separation distress in infants. And if it is not dealt with appropriately or in a right time frame, then the child can develop separation anxiety disorder. In the area of research around separation distress in pediatric populations, there are 3 different ways to look at separation distress. And that is there's always a protest stage, which is the first stage, right? It says, I don't want to be alone. I'm afraid to be alone. I know I'm going to be alone. And so therefore, I'm going to protest this. The second stage is despair. Oh, I just give up because I'm not going to get what I need, or I don't have the ability to deal with this, or I'm feeling really weak and vulnerable, and so I don't know what to do about it. And then the last stage of that is detachment. It's almost like you give up, right? The despair stage sets you up to want to give up. And so for adults, you may experience separation distress because all you had in your childhood growing up, maybe, some of the early days of your young adulthood, maybe your adolescence, all you had was the experience of feeling unloved, of feeling lonely, of feeling all alone and by yourself. And so now you are experiencing separation distress. Maybe you're in a relationship where you feel loved now, or maybe you're afraid that they're going to stop loving you, right? Either way you flip the coin, separation distress is likely to impact you in a negative way. Here's how research in this area defines loneliness. It's one's quality and or quantity of contact with other people is not met. Let me go back over that again. One's quantity or quality of contact with another person is not met. So the quality, right? We don't have that intense connection that gives me energy, that gives me motivation, that makes me feel loved, right? And then the quantity of that experience tends to be pretty minor, right? Maybe I only see you once a month. Maybe I only see you once or twice a week. Maybe I only see you 1 hour a day, right? So the quantity is not meeting your needs, and neither is the quality of that attachment. So that's how research in psychology defines and picks and pulls apart the concept of feeling unloved, and the experience of loneliness is defined in this way as well. There's a lot of influence from the brain. There's neuroscience and neurobiology behind loneliness. Some research suggests that different parts of the frontal cortex, the prefrontal cortex, which is behind the forehead, here's a picture right here on the screen for you, the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. The amygdala is the almond-sized structure I talk about a lot on this channel, and it has a lot to do with storing our emotional memories. It helps us make sense out of our environment. It helps us determine, like a flashlight would, what's threatening to us, what's not threatening to us. And a lot of times for people with complex PTSD or childhood trauma, their amygdala tends to be on and heightened in awareness all the time. And so the moment you start to feel lonely or unloved, it kicks on that fight or flight system, right? Because the amygdala as a flashlight is always searching your environment for some kind of stressor, some kind of something that could happen to you, right? And so because of that, when you start to feel unloved or you start to feel lonely, the fight or flight system kicks on. So there's definitely a neurobiological piece to this puzzle. We also need to understand that there are misconceptions of feeling unloved and feeling lonely, right? If you grow up in a household where there wasn't a lot of love going around, there was a lot of sarcasm, there was a lot of meanness and cruelty in how you spoke to each other, or nobody really knows how to say I love you, or I care about you, or I worry about you. In households like that, there's often a lot of misconceptions about being unloved or feeling unloved and loneliness. And one such misconception is this. It is that loneliness and feeling unloved only happens with parents, with each other, right? So a marriage, or the elderly. And research suggests the total opposite, that some individuals who are under the age of 25, and in this specific research study, it was women only, they tended to feel lonely, and they were under the age of 25. So there's research that contradicts the misconception that only elderly people or married people feel lonely and unloved. If you're in a family situation where your family has tons of intergenerational trauma, that you guys never had open communication or healthy communication, or no one ever told you that they loved you, it's possible, and it's probably going to be consistent too, that you have that feeling of being unloved and that feeling of being detached and really disassociated from the people that you want to be closest to. There's also some misconceptions around family estrangement and what's going to happen when you finally walk away. On this channel, I get a lot of requests for consultations and therapy sessions and suggestions and advice. And one of the biggest issues that I see that greets me on my voicemail, that greets me in my email box, and even on social media is, I'm going to feel so much better when I leave my family alone. How can I finally leave my family alone and not miss them? And I always tell people who ask me this question, you're probably going to miss them. You're probably going to struggle with being separated from them. Because again, loneliness and the feeling of being loved and being unloved also has a neurobiological basis. And so it's kind of written on the tablet of your brain that you're probably going to miss those people that you have been closest to, that you have known, that are familiar to you, that you've interacted with over the years. So the possibility of you feeling that you miss them is major. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what to do, right? And how do I manage this, especially with the holidays coming up? I feel unloved within my family. I don't feel like they're connected to me. I don't feel like they understand me. I don't feel like I need to be in this family anymore. I don't feel like I need to be in this relationship anymore. So what do I do? Well, here's a few things to consider. Number one, you want to engage in mindfulness meditation. Now, you may be sitting there like, okay, I'm not going to meditate and I'm not going to just breathe all day. That's not going to happen. And that is understandable, right? Mindfulness meditation doesn't impact everyone in the same way. You may find it very useless, right? But here's what I'm suggesting to you, that you can meditate while journaling. You can meditate while relaxing and listening to music in earphones. You can meditate by watching a movie and really tuning in to what's going on in that movie. You can also meditate by eating dinner by yourself, undistracted with nothing on. You're left with your thoughts. You're left with your feelings, right? Mindfulness meditation is supported by research, and research suggests that mindfulness meditation really kicks you into reality, and it really helps you navigate all your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. I also suggest enhancing your social connection around this time of year. Let's say, for example, you're really dreading Christmas because you feel unloved within your family, you feel lonely and all alone, and you don't know how to get rid of this unrelenting feeling of being alone, right? Enhance your social support. Go out with friends. Go ahead and take that coffee break with your coworkers. Go ahead and work overtime if that means you're going to get paid more money and get a chance to communicate with your coworkers that you like a little bit more, right? Go ahead and go to that dinner by yourself. Go to the movies by yourself. At least you're around other people. Enhance social support, okay? The other thing that I suggest, and I often recommend this for my own clients, is to do deeply pleasing activities, right? Exercising and going to the gym and seeing my body toned is deeply pleasing to me. Sitting and talking to my mom about existential things is deeply pleasing to me. Do things that are deeply pleasing to you. It gets you out of that mindset of being alone and feeling alone, The other thing is you want to engage in community activities. Go to some of your community agencies and participate in the volunteer drive, or go ahead down the street and help the firefighters by volunteering to be a firefighter. Go ahead and do things within your community. You also want to reinvent yourself when you're going through moments of feeling unloved, right? Reinvent how you see yourself, how you display yourself to the world, how you think about yourself, and then reinvent your own traditions, right? If you're in a family estrangement kind of a situation where, you've walked away from your family and you've said goodbye and you're never going back, now you want to reinvent what life means to you. And that might mean getting a different, set of furniture, for example, wearing different clothing, going different places to shop. The list goes on. Reinvent yourself. Reinvent how you see yourself. Reinvent how you engage in your life. Redefine your connection to other people. Is that my family over there? Those people who have been my friends, my closest friends, they've loved me, they've given me advice, they've been unconditional, right? That's my family. So, what's the word I'm looking for, guys? Kind of redefine your connection to other people. Redefine what relationships mean to you. As long as it's genuine and authentic, right? Redefine it. You also want to explore what kind of loneliness you are experiencing. And there's 3 different kinds. One is emotional. Emotional loneliness says that I feel loneliness at the core of who I am. Then there's social loneliness, right? I feel like I don't have any social connections, so therefore I'm lonely because of that. And then there's also existential loneliness, meaning I have this deep-seated loneliness, and even though I'm around people in my everyday life and in my everyday world, I still feel alone at the core of who I am. Explore what kind of loneliness you are experiencing, and then alter your coping skills to fit that, right? So an example of this might be, let's say you have social loneliness, right? And you feel disconnected from other people. Find some way to connect with other people. If you're feeling emotionally lonely and it's just like this feeling on the inside of you, go to therapy, right? Go to the gym and exercise. Replace what you feel that you've lost, right? All of these things are useful. I'm going to post my 2 videos right here for you. Go ahead after this video and check them out. They may be helpful for you as well. Thank you so much for being with me in today's video, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.